I am going to talk about Greenland. In case you're not up on your Greenlandic geography, this is the North Pole. So here's Greenland, the light green in Greenland, and as you'll see, most of Greenland is above the Arctic Circle. All the towns are on the coast. So the rest is the ice cap and not really inhabitable. Here's the capital, Nuuk. And if you look at Greenland, you'll see that the people live way far in the north. And there's people who live in villages. The villages may be as small as 2 people. They may be much larger. Nuuk is the largest city with 15,000. And Sisimiut, it has about 5,000 people. In Greenland, there's a highly developed society there. But there are still people who live by fishing, a lot of shrimp fishing, but fish fishing, fishing for sea mammals, and hunting. And things are really expensive in Greenland. And I've asked people, how can you afford to live here? And the answer I always get is you have to have a hunter in your family. So they can't afford to eat unless they have someone who's going out and getting meat for them. They've got issues with global warming, which is seen as a plus and a minus in Greenland. Whales are going further south, polar bears are coming inland, cod are appearing in the south. Global warming means that people in southern Greenland are now growing potatoes, which is amazing. This may not seem like big news to you, but in Greenland, growing potatoes is big news. They also have some hope that global warming is going to release resources. They will be able to get at natural resources, oil, and right now they're economically dependent on Denmark, but if they could get at their oil, they would be less dependent. So we're looking at a very small population, 57,000 or so according to the census. There's another 18,000 Greenlanders in Denmark. And the critical thing here is that 88% of the population is Inuit. They call themselves Inuit, which is the plural for the word person, people. And the Inuit do not like the term Eskimo. In Greenland, there is one language, Groenlandic, which they call KALAALLISUT. There's about 50,000 speakers of Groenlandic. It's not considered endangered now. It's an Inuit Aleut language or an Eskimo Aleut language, polysynthetic. There's 3 main dialects in that, North, East, and West Groenlandic. And the standard language is based on West Groenlandic, and North Groenlandic is closest to Uummannaq, which is spoken in Alaska. In the 10th century, the Norse settled there. They didn't survive, they couldn't adapt, and the big thing that Inuit talk about is adaptation. They couldn't adapt after they sort of died out. There were a few more settlements, but in 1721, the Norwegian-Danish government at the time felt that the country was going to hell, essentially. There was a failure of Christianity, and they sent a major Christian mission, and this is seen as the beginning of modern colonization. From this point on, they became Lutherans. They are Lutherans today. Lutheran is the state church in Denmark. In the 1860s, an orthography was established and literacy developed, and from this time on, we have high literacy in Greenland, in Groenlandic, KALAALLISUT. So we have a long-standing literary tradition. In 1953, the official status as a colony ended, and Greenland became an official constituency of Denmark, but effectively this meant nothing. Now, if you know your history, or you lived through it, you know the 1960s was a volatile time. People were marching for civil rights. Really strong activist leaders changed their communities' lives. They changed their country's lives. And in 1979, led by a small group of very strong activists, Greenland voted in home rule. This is a vote that passed by 63%. It gave Greenland significant autonomy, including the right to elect their own parliament, and Danish and Greenlandic became official languages. Part of the reason that they fought for home rule was language shift. They saw that the children were speaking Danish, not Groenlandic, and they got very upset about it. Education shifted to Groenlandic. And interestingly, people now say, as a result, there was a generation who didn't have enough Danish. So education became completely Groenlandic, but the University of Greenland does not teach any of the hard sciences. As a matter of fact, the University of Greenland has 12 faculty members. So it's small. So for the hard sciences, you need to go to Copenhagen, which means that the language of science is Danish or it's English, which it is increasingly in places, but not Groenlandic. And Greenlanders, the Inuit, really believe that for Groenlandic to survive and to be strong, it needs to be used in all domains. So they're working hard to get science taught in KALAALLISut. They created Okasalifik, which I'm not pronouncing very well, the Groenlandic Language Council. It has several different councils underneath it. The Language Council, which informs the government about language policy, a place names committee. They're reclaiming all of their place names, translating them into local terms, reclaiming the older place names, and there's also a committee for personal names. So this is a model that we don't often see, I think, where the whole issue of language policy has been taken over by the people and is officially part of the government. So there's a very, very strong language committee. Language has always been at the center of Groenlandic politics. Groenlandic, and specifically West Groenlandic, is the official language. Danish is also official, but not primary. English is recommended, and exactly how this is going to play out in the legal system is still unclear. It's an interesting case. As you look at language revitalization, there's different attitudes, but the Groenlandic attitude is that they need to work in a modern world. They need to live in a modern global world, and to be part of the global world, they need to have 3 languages.